Welcome to Inspired Conversations. I'm Diane. Are you at the end of your rope financially and don't know what to do? There is so much shame and fear and anxiety attached to what do I do now? How do I get out of debt? We're going to talk about that. We'll be right back. Okay, with me today, Laura Donaldson and John Kuni of Kuni Donaldson attorney firm, law firm. And you guys are debt specialists or debt relief specialists. And you know, I was reading the other day that 650,000 approximately people a year in the United States file bankruptcy because of medical bills. And that's the number one reason for people filing bankruptcy, but yet people probably come to you and tell me what it's like. I mean, this must be a really hard job. They're so ashamed. They feel like they've failed, right?
Many times people feel as though I think one of the hardest things for people when they're in financial trouble is to actually get up the nerve to call a bankruptcy attorney or call somebody, a professional that works in this area, because there is a lot of fear and anxiety about it. Particularly with older folks, there's a stigma that has been around. I think that the younger generations may not feel that as much.
Well, maybe when you're younger, it's like easy come, easy go, I can do this over. But when you're older and you think, well, I have to file bankruptcy, which people don't know. Does that mean I lose my house, I lose my car, I can't get a loan again? And you're 50, 60 to 80, how many do-overs do you have, right? So I can see why they would feel that way.
That's exactly right. And
or be afraid.
The thing that we find is that after a client comes in and talks to us about what their options are, a lot of that fear and anxiety is laid away. You know, there is so much misinformation out there about what people's options and rights are. That's why we encourage people to come in, talk about your options early in the process. Our firm offers a no obligation consultation to people who want to come in and talk about their options. At least they can get educated about what they can do.
Well, that's a relief. It's like, I don't have any money now. I have to, and you know, of course, there are a lot of jokes about lawyers and fees and how, you know, I even say, well, I don't charge like a lawyer, so don't worry. So yeah, of course, they're going to think, well, this is going to be a big bill. But just so they're coming to you and they're just devastated, in shock, maybe.
Many times, sometimes, you know, we have clients that come in for the whole range. You know, some of our clients are near tears when they come in our office. Others are angry about their situation.
Sure, I can see that.
You know, so part of our job is to really listen to our clients, see what they're coming from, and find out what goals they have. Because bankruptcy and bankruptcy law really is driven by goals. And the different form of bankruptcy you're going to do, or if you're going to avoid bankruptcy, are going to be driven by what goals you have out there.
What goals you have, and also there's a lot of misconception, because I think people might, and correct me if I'm wrong, they might lump bankruptcy lawyers with the IRS or, you know, government institutions or lenders, and that's not the case, Laura, right?
No, that's not the case at all. Our goal is financial well-being for our clients. That's our number one goal. So when people come to us, when we speak with them on the phone or have them come in, the primary thing we tell them is, we're talking to you about your options at your first appointment. If bankruptcy is not right for you, or there's an alternative to bankruptcy, we'll give that alternative to you and we'll give you ways to follow up on it. So it's not about the filing of the case in every single case or making money for us. It is a business, of course, but the financial well-being for our clients is what's most important, and getting them back on their feet.
And people, are they sometimes afraid to tell you, divulge things like, you know, I haven't paid the IRS? Are they afraid that you're going to report that? Or are they also afraid, well, I want to do something with my mortgage, and someone told me to stop paying my mortgage, and that will get the attention of the lender, and they'll refinance it easier. I mean, these are the stories that go around.
Client fears range all over the gamut. So we have a lot of people who are in divorce situations because one party has been paying the bills with credit cards and not telling the other party. We have young kids going into college, for example, that are given loan applications. We'll give you a free t-shirt if you fill out this loan application. Then they get their credit card and they're like, this is awesome, free money, right? I can go out and buy whatever I want to. Because so financial education right now is really missing, and we're, as a community, the bankruptcy community is really trying to enhance financial education amongst young folks. And everybody in general, because it's not really taught in our schools anymore.
Right.
And so there's different entities out there that are focusing, like Financial Beginnings or other entities that their primary purpose is to financially educate folks. And we think that's one of our purposes as well. So when people come into us, most of the time they haven't had a budget, they can't make ends meet. I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul. I just am going in this downward spiral. They're embarrassed. They can't tell their spouse about it. They can't tell their pastor about it because they're so embarrassed.
And
by
if they're
not getting on
embarrassed
top
and
of things.
ashamed, probably they're not going to come to you as soon as they need to, right? So that's
Exactly.
even worse because now they're further in debt.
They're further in debt, and sometimes, and I see this a lot, it's this cycle, this vicious cycle where the people get locked into, well, I can make my bills, I can pay my bills, but I have to charge each month. So I'll pay a little bit down on my credit card, but if I'm going to eat, I'm going to have to charge that back up to be able to eat.
So it
and
just goes
at
around
some
in a
point,
circle.
you've
Yeah.
got to break that cycle because
Right.
it's not sustainable.
Right, and they're giving up other life things. So if I don't have any disposable income or leftover money at the end of the month, I can't do things for myself. Like I can't go back to school. I can't feed my kids. You know, you're on a tight budget. You can't take them out to special dinners or go to the movies, or you're cutting in places that really give you the quality of life,
Or
trying to
retirement.
deal with debt, retirement.
Well, and it's hard to
cashing
say
into
no to your
retirement.
kids when all
Yeah.
of their friends' parents are buying them
iPhones and iPads
I this,
and
I
all
that.
that good stuff.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's quality of life as well. So we like to give folks back their quality of life by showing them ways to budget, showing them ways we can eliminate their debt and get them back on track to a fresh start.
And then you negotiate with lenders and banks, that sort of thing.
Depending on what scenario we're going for. If we're avoiding bankruptcy, then yes, negotiation with lenders to settle debts out at discounts. We do that. In bankruptcy context, there is some negotiation with lenders if we're doing specific things like cramming down a car which would be paying a car off at its current value rather than what's owed on it, which we can do through a Chapter 13. So there's different tools that we have out there, which does at some point grind the opposing parties a little bit, and so there will be a little bit of friction in
right.
bankruptcy because of everybody has a different side and a different opinion,
Okay.
and those sort of disputes really kind of erupt in valuation disputes and these sort of things.
Oh,
but
wow.
we
So-
do help our
so
clients
you're,
with
you're an advocate for a person coming in needs to look at you as an advocate, not as a person that, if I'm coming in going, what can I tell them and what can't I tell them? Am I going to get into trouble by telling them too much of my problems?
Well, we hope so. I mean, we encourage folks, we try to be compassionate with our folks. We are self-employed people ourselves, so we understand how tough it is if you have 1 month where income is less but your expenses stay the same. How are you going to meet those expenses? How do you budget? It is a difficult thing for people to do. So
and also
we
once you get
understand.
into a situation where you have a fixed amount of money that you need to pay every month, your expenses are, you have a mortgage and you have a car, and you have children, it's kind of like, I can't give up one of those three. So then I can see where, you just kind of fudge a little here on the side until it gets out of control. I mean, and I guess I want to go back to that shame thing because, the thought of filing bankruptcy and you go, are your neighbors going to know? Are your Who knows
Well,
when you do
a
that?
bankruptcy filing is public record, so anybody who's interested in finding out can. If you have access to a federal PACER account, then you can look up anybody's name or their social security number and see whether a bankruptcy has been filed by them. Now, most people don't have access to that or are not
Or
even
care.
or
No,
care
but
about
I-
it.
See, I've got a dyslexic mailman, and so I get my neighbor's mail and they get mine. So you see, I would be, kind of thinking, now my neighbor is going to find out, knows everything about me because we accidentally get each other's mail.
Right.
Well, you should weigh that too, though, with credit or collection calls, because when you fill out an application for credit, you give a contact in the event
Oh,
that
true.
they can't get hold of you. So your creditors are likely already contacting your family, trying to get that debt from you.
Interesting.
So, I
and
mean,
they don't really tell you that. Hey, I talked to your mom and she told me.
Well,
Gave me a
sometimes
fa-
they do. Sometimes they do. And so the threats of collection, the constant harassment, the embarrassment
Yes.
of family being involved, and now they know that you're struggling financially. Sometimes they're willing to help. Sometimes, most times, they don't have the ability themselves to help because the financial market right now is tough.
Yeah,
So-
and I think that's, if we could impart that, I mean, some kind of a silver lining to help folks think that, don't blame yourself, because really it's tough in America today to make a living.
It is.
And there are, by 2020, I just read that there's a big portion of a huge percentage of people that are going to be in business for themselves. Well, now look at our health insurance issue, which I talked about the medical situation. I mean, we could go on and on about how maybe we're all one catastrophe away
Right.
from needing to come to you. And so, I think the message would be come sooner than later.
Yes, but it's not that bleak. I mean, it doesn't have to be that bleak. And that's what we're here for. So we have a lot of information that we can share with folks that you can't get online, but coming and sit down, let us alleviate the fears. Let us talk you through the process, options that are available. Get that peace of mind. Most of our clients leave taking away that, wow, I didn't know this was available to me, and this gives me the peace of mind to know that now I have a game plan as to how to deal with my
So
creditors.
you're the logic, and the fear walks in the door, and you're the logic that helps stabilize it. We have to take a break, but stay right there. We'll be right back. This is Inspired Conversations, and we're going to take a short break. Stay with us. We're with Kuni Donaldson, attorneys at law, Laura and John. We'll be right back. Millions of consumers struggle to pay their bills. Financial hardship can lead to divorce, health issues, and depression. If this is you, it's time to break up with your debt. The attorneys at Kuni Donaldson are on your side, offering a judgment-free, no-obligation consultation. Their primary goal is your financial freedom. Take your life back. Call the number on your screen today. Welcome back to Inspired Conversations. We're talking about the shame and what, when people are in financial difficulty, what do they do, and do they wait too long, and what can they expect from you? So let's say they do choose to go into a bankruptcy, or you advise that that's the best thing for them. There's more than one type, but we can go into those details if we have time. But what's life like afterwards? I think that's what people really want to know. If I do this, what do I get at the end? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, the primary goal for any bankruptcy is to obtain a discharge, which is a court order that says you creditors can never come in here and collect this debt again, assuming the debt is just dischargeable. Student loans and some other debts just don't go away. But assuming the debt is dischargeable, after the bankruptcy is done, no more phone calls, no more collection letters, it's gone. The debt is no longer there for you to worry about.
So a clean slate.
Relief, yay.
Yep.
Wow,
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
So do you negotiate with the IRS on people's behalf?
I'm
asking for a friend.
The IRS is difficult, obviously, because it's taxes and they have special rules.
I thought there was a kinder, gentler IRS these days.
Yeah, maybe not.
I don't know.
If our clients want to avoid bankruptcy, then we help them negotiate payment arrangements with the IRS. Sometimes it's much better for them to deal with the taxes through bankruptcy, through a Chapter 13, so it's paid off through the bankruptcy. So in those situations, they're coming out of bankruptcy really with a complete clean slate in that all their taxes are gone, which normally would not go away through bankruptcy. All their other credit cards and everything else is gone. So
Up to date.
Up to date, correct.
Yeah, so that's how you help folks along the process say, okay, now going forward, this wasn't a diet and you can go back to the way you ate before. This is like going forward, now things have to change, right?
And that's part of the process too,
Right.
is learning how to budget, learning what got you into trouble in the first place. Was it medical bills that were unexpected, no health insurance, or was it major medical where the copays were so large that you can't afford to pay it? Was it frivolous spending? Was it you wanted a vacation that you took and then another vacation, then another vacation? Or was it your business got in trouble and you needed to borrow to pay taxes? There's so many things that happen in life that create these situations, and understanding what it is that brings you to the point where you can't manage your debt. The very first thing that people have to look at is what brought me here. Once you know what brought you to this point, you can focus on how do I fix it? How do I get to the end goal?
Okay, and so a lot of people, okay, so here's another question. So they're done, they've satisfied their debts. Now, going forward, they could, let's say they're in business for themselves, because I just read a huge percentage of people are in business for themselves, and they need a loan. Are they going to be able to get one? I mean, you see what I'm saying? If they go right back into the same problem, right?
After bankruptcy, I mean, it's a fresh start in all senses. The people that want to start being able to borrow money have to start slow. So they're going to be bombarded with offers. My clients seem
Really?
to, oh yes, my clients seem to be just flooded with vehicle purchase requests, car loans.
Yes.
There must be some mailing list that they buy.
Agreed.
And so anybody who's in bankruptcy, all of a sudden it just gets piles of offers for that. Now, there are really terrible interest rates because you're not a good credit risk. But if you're able to get a loan, maybe it's a car loan, maybe it's a small secured card or something like that.
Well, after all that suffering, it seems like a Mercedes would make you feel better.
It might, but it might not be reasonable. It might put you back in the same position again.
Okay, Dad.
So what we can do is have our clients slowly start reestablishing their credit, and that's going to rebuild their credit for those bigger purchases. And proactive clients that are really trying to reestablish their credit, usually 3 to 4 years after bankruptcy can qualify for traditional financing for even a home purchase. So definitely it's not the end of the world by going through bankruptcy. There are, I have clients that are coming out of bankruptcy, purchasing homes, purchasing cars, not right away, but and there is definitely legwork to be done, but it's possible.
I think getting rid of debt is such of a stress releaser. I mean, the stress of debt and money problems, it can wreck a lot of things. It can wreck your health, it can wreck your marriage, it can wreck your relationship with your kids. I mean, it's all encompassing.
Right.
So I think I like the term debt relief, because I think that's what people want, is some relief.
It's
Right.
You know, regardless of how they got there, you know, and I kind of want to impress on people, you know, don't be so judgmental against yourself, because, you know, things happen. Our whole health insurance industry is inside out, upside down now. No one even knows if they're going to be able to be insured if they're on their own in business for themselves. So, you know, there's a lot of things to consider. But we can call you and sit down and get some answers that
Get a
make
little
sense.
relief. I mean, we see a lot of things like the rental market right now. Rental prices are so high that what people are paying for apartments, we have other people who are paying the same amount for their mortgages in a monthly payment.
Right.
And so people who are in fear of losing their home, what are their options? So if somebody says, well, you're just over your head with respect to your home, you can't afford this payment. Well, if they go in the rental market, they can't afford that payment either, because it's exactly the same payment.
Wow.
So why would you not want to hold on to your home, your piece of the American pie?
Right.
And we can help you do that,
Right.
versus having to surrender it and then go out and try to get an
And
apartment.
honestly, until we are in the Portland metro outlying areas, that's our audience. And, you know, I am seeing all the time online where a family says, please help us. Our rent went from $1,100 to $1,400 a month. We can't afford it. Do you know anywhere we can go? I mean, and you know, they haven't really changed those rental laws, I don't
No,
think.
they haven't. They're working on them right now. But
Is
you're
there a good
hearing,
chance that will change?
I think it will.
Okay.
I think it
okay.
will. Just because it is at crisis stage right now,
Yes.
as far as how are these people going to find an affordable place to live?
Right, and
So,
what a tragedy, what a sad thing. Kids have to leave their school and their friends and their home, you know.
yeah.
Well, and tuition, so again, student loans, we can't talk about student loans enough because a number of people will get student loans not just for tuition but for living
I
expenses.
know, I see
Excuse
that.
me, living expenses, and so it's hard to get on top of that.
Yeah, I see that.
Because once the repayment starts, those repayment monies can be very high as far as the monthly payment on a student loan. And they have different programs, so income contingent repayment, all that good stuff. But the interest never goes away, and student loans are not dischargeable in bankruptcy. We're working on it, you know, but it's a scary time right now with those sums of money. I think student loans are one of the highest debt in America right now. So we're having a student loan crisis versus a mortgage crisis.
People go out and with the attitude that, well, I'll just get a job and a good paying job. Well, our job market is in such flux right now that maybe what you went to school for isn't what, you know, anyone's hiring for.
That's
you know,
exactly
or a
right.
robot has taken over since you were in school or something like that.
And you've got these other situations where the schools, like Corinthians, have failed. And now you're in a situation where your degree or what you were going to have as a degree is worthless.
Wow.
And in many of those, luckily for some of those students, they are getting some relief and some student loan forgiveness in some situations. But it's my understanding that not all students are getting the relief, which is just very unfortunate for them.
Can you help with that?
In some instances, we can file adversary proceedings in the right case.
I think when somebody gets a letter from a lawyer, people were going to take it more seriously than if I write a letter and just sign my name to an institution that I, you know, want some relief from or something like that.
We would normally do this, force them to forgive the loans basically by doing it through the bankruptcy process.
Oh, got it.
We'd have to show that it's an undue burden now, and it will forever be an undue burden to have to pay this loan back. It's a very high standard, but it is possible in some situations to get those loans either partially or completely eliminated.
Okay. Well, I think we're out of time here, so I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And again, at Kuni Donaldson, attorney at law, debt relief services here in Portland, Oregon. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Having us.
Yeah.